There we go. Actually, I entered the stream. Kind of hard to be in the stream when you're not on the stream. All right, you know the drill. I'm on Instagram over here. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook over here. So I'll be looking back and forth. You guys know the drill on that, guys and gals. Of course, when I say guys, I mean everybody. I'm an old Cicero, Illinois guy. We call everybody guys. Anyway, welcome aboard Week 18. If you're here, we can talk anything today. We can talk fantasy football if you have Week 18. If you don't, we can talk DFS. We can talk NFL playoffs, playoff scenarios, anything NFL. I've researched it all out. Could give you an answer for everything. We'll start with dog days. Your commissioner decided to do complete do-over a championship game in Week 18. Oh man, the way and the way they should have handled that. If I'm running a league is this. Basically, I would have taken any player from Cincinnati and Buffalo, and I would have allowed them to use their Week 18 stats. Everybody else's stats would have stood because there are so many teams sitting players. I think your commish may have just made a poor decision there. It was a smart idea to try to adjust it, but they only had to take those players and manually add their numbers from Week 18. But that said, so you had Allen and Higgins, and you were only down 10. So you basically had won your game because at that point, Higgins already had some. They already had points. So you probably were already there. So, ugh. So let's see what you got here. Packers, defense, or the 49ers. So it's tough with the 49ers because the NFL really screwed this up. And what they screwed up was they usually will take all the games that have connected playoff scenarios and play them simultaneously. They didn't do that. So Minnesota plays the Bears. And basically, the 49ers will know what their deal is. Now, the Minnesota probably wins this game. And we'll look at the standings here. So Minnesota has 4 losses. The 49ers have 4 losses. The 49ers do have the tiebreaker, right? So the 49ers probably need to win to keep the 2 seed. And you think they'd want to keep the 2 seed because you never know. Philly's the 1 seed. They could lose their first game, and then that would give the 49ers home field advantage in whatever was left. So you would think, but we don't know, right? So that's a tough one there. So anyway, we don't know how the 49ers defense is going to come out here. Arizona is all kinds of beat up. 3rd string quarterback, James Conner's not playing, Nuke Hopkins not playing. So it's an optimal matchup for them. The Packers are not last week they played great. They took advantage of Minnesota. Minnesota did their implosion act in a big stage game. We've seen it before, right? But ultimately, and the Lions aren't as good on the road. I just think that their offensive line in Detroit holds up enough to not give up a bunch of sacks. They get the ball out of Goff's hands pretty quickly. He hasn't had the big implosion games. So basically, I would probably lean the 49ers. If they play their starters for even a half, something really good can happen. That's how I lean on that one. Kenneth Tillman, Cook or Madison. I know. We don't know what they're going to do. I personally think the Vikings have to play starters till the game's out of question. Again, they know what they are. They tell the whole world we're 12-4, we're the second best team. They know they're not. They need the home field. That home field in Minnesota is massive. And they can't assume San Francisco is going to win. They need to win the game. So I think they have to play while the game's in question. So I'm going to go with Cook here. They have to play him. And in that case, now Madison could be, the Bears are going to have reserves in most of the game anyway. So I would rather have 10 carries from Cook than 10 carries from Madison. And that's the way I'm going to go on that. I think they have to play their stars. Now, unless we hear something otherwise, they have to play for a while. There was word they're going to pull them at some point, but they already kind of know what they're up against. Chris, you're welcome. The Week 18 craze. I'm one of them too, so I fit right in. So absolutely. So Robert, you got Goff or Purdy? Again, we got that scenario. Now, Arizona is so decimated on defense. Budda Baker's out. Their top 3 corners are out. They have Zach Allen on the defensive lines out. Rashad Lawrence has been on the IR. They are just decimated. And my guess is they're not going to overwork McCaffrey here. So Purdy should have a good floor. I have to assume they're going to play to win. The Vikings are unlikely to lose to the Bears, who are sitting players. Goff on the road. Now, he had the garbage time game a couple weeks ago where he came through, but he has not been good in road games. And it's going to be Wind chill's 15 degrees. Night game in Green Bay. I mentioned question earlier about the Lions defense. I just don't think Goff is going to go off here. And I think the Packers aren't going to score a ton of points either to force a shootout. So I'm going to say Purdy remains safe. Goff has not been a good road quarterback. I will go Purdy here. Now, yeah, because even we're not going to know whether Detroit's in or out because that's the same time the 49ers play. So that's kind of off the table too. And there's always that. If they're eliminated, do they play the game differently? So I'm going to say Purdy. And Chris, hearing lots of about Jonathan. Yes. Jonathan Williams is a really, really good running back. He's just one of those guys that whatever didn't work out. I don't know if he's tough to coach. I have no idea, but he's talented. And he's going to get opportunity. Now, Jared Patterson should be involved to a degree today. I think Jared Patterson, I could see a 50-50 workload here because they probably still want to see what they have in Patterson. Now, they obviously moved Williams ahead of him earlier in the season, and there's two backs, but they've been rotating backs all year. Nick Chubb, it's tough to sit him. I don't see Nick Chubb not playing at full capacity. Pittsburgh's a tough draw. And Chubb, I think Chubb did decently last night. I want to say he had 90 yards. Let me look it up here. I think Chubb had 90 yards the last time they played Pittsburgh. Let's take a look here and see what we got here. Pittsburgh. Oh, that was way back in week 3. So it was 23 carries, 113 and a touchdown. TJ Watt was out in that game. So there's that. I still think Chubb has a reliable floor. We don't really know what we're getting from Jonathan Williams here. Sam Howell creates a problem. Because if Dallas is playing us to win, they're probably going to want Sam Howell to throw the ball, which means they're going to stack the box and they're going to try to force Washington into bad situations. They stopped the run. Now it's 2nd and long. It's 3rd and long. Now they get what they want. I think that's what they want in this game. So I'm going to say you're playing Nick Chubb. There's no word that he's going to be benched. Kareem Hunt's been terrible. So it's not like they want to get him reps, and he's gone anyway at the end of the season. I'm going with Nick Chubb there. Aaron, pick 2 from the flex. Mostert, Debo. Debo, I believe, is out. I believe he has been ruled out. Let's do a double check for you here, and we'll make sure. But Debo, I believe, is 100% out in this game. Oh, maybe not. Wow, I thought I heard that. So he has no injury designation against the Cardinals. So he is going to play. Interesting. Didn't know that. Thought I saw something earlier in the week that said he wasn't playing. So, okay. Usage is going to be interesting. My guess is they're going to get his feet wet. My guess is they're not going to overuse him. He can't be 100% yet. They want to give him a tune-up for the playoffs. So that's my guess. Mostert. Typically, it's a bad matchup. The Jets have not been easy to run on. They're missing their left tackle, Teron Armstead, who's doubtful. That hurts. McLaurin, they're playing Dallas. Sam Howell could be the problem there. We don't have any idea if he has downfield acumen. Jonathan Williams has a solid floor, I think. I think Dallas will try to load back. I think Jonathan Williams is going to get some work here. Chuba Hubbard, they're playing the Saints. The Saints are a very good run defense. So I think ultimately, of these options you're given, I think Jonathan Williams may have a fairly safe floor. I think if Debo's playing, I think it's really hard to sit him. Even if he gets 8 touches, that's his norm, right? It's 5 to 10 touches. So if he gets 5 to 8 touches against Arizona, who's missing a ton of players, he could make a big play out of nothing. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Debo and Jonathan Williams for floor. If you want to go boom bust on that last position, then maybe Sam Howell chucks it up for Terry McLaurin. And I would go boom bust McLaurin over Williams. Again, I don't like Chuba's matchup. Mostert, I don't like his matchup, and he splits time. Chris, how should you? You know what? The Saints thing is tough. Vegas, or I'll say DraftKings, they will not put props up on this game. It has me spooked. I'm waiting because I have a Rashid Shaheed prop I want to play. I want to play him anything over, even if it's 50 yards, I want to play it. And rushing receiving props, they might put some up, but apparently not for him. Chris Olave has a 65-yard prop. They have not put one up for Rashid Shaheed, so they just put this up in the last hour. So that's interesting. So let's take a look back at your question now. So, look, the Saints, I don't see them just saying, we're done, we're playing reserves. I think they're playing. I think they're playing in this game. And it's a beautiful matchup. I did a thread, a prop betting thread with Rashid Shaheed, but it works for Olave too. So I at Jim Coventry NFL on Twitter, you can go to my prop thread from I believe Friday, and it lays out how bad Carolina's defense has been against the pass. They're allowing like 240 yards to wide receivers per game over the last 17 receptions. They're all by far the worst in the league. And their top 2 corners are out, if I didn't say that already. And they're pretty good against the run. So you kind of have to pass. So I like Olave, I like Shaheed, I like Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's actually been better at home than on the road. When you look at his games over the season, he has multiple touchdowns. I believe in 3 of his last 4 games. I don't have the notes in front of me, but so I do like Olave. Deontay Johnson, look, Cleveland has been better against the pass in the second half of the season, and Deontay Johnson just really has no upside. He hasn't had that. So Olave has a similar floor, but in this particular matchup, I think he has upside. I'm going to go with Olave here. I really think it's a great opportunity against this Carolina defense. Cleveland is going to give up a ton on the ground. I don't know how much Kenny Pickett has to throw here. They're down all 3 linebackers. Jadeveon Clowney's out. They were bad against the run to start. And Kenneth, did you ask this one earlier? I think you asked one. I answered that for you already. Aaron, full PPR, but it's all the same with that. I kind of factored that in. And then Chris, I think in PPR, I factored that in, so we're good there. Aaron, most weeks, I know week 18. I know, Aaron, you're totally right. No, I'm totally with you on it. I completely understand. Kenneth, Eckler, Dylan. And here's the problem, right? We have no idea what the Chargers are going to do. I'm sitting on this prop 10 wins for the season. Never thought I was going to get there. Now they got the 10, so I got to push. They face Denver. Great, I'm going to win. Now all of a sudden, it looks like Baltimore is not playing anybody. So if Baltimore tries to lose as they do, the Chargers are locked in to that 5 spot, have nothing to play for. Eckler's been used very heavily this season, and that's a problem. Dylan has been getting good usage the last few weeks, even after Aaron Jones was cleared from injury. So honestly, Dylan probably has a safer workload. Eckler's matchup against Denver's the seasonal numbers, they look good. They're not. They're not a good run defense. You can run on them. But again, how much are they going to risk Eckler at this point? Because the point spread, Vegas moved the line from Chargers -3 to Chargers +3, 6-point swing. So they don't think the Chargers are playing starters. So now what I'll tell you is this, since Eckler's in the 4 o'clock window, 4:25 window, if somehow Baltimore wins, the Chargers need to win. And there's no way they don't want that 5 seed. So if Baltimore wins, it's Eckler. They got to play him. They got to win. But if they lose, I think you almost have to take the chance to go with Dylan, because if they pull Eckler after 4 touches, 5 touches, that's going to sting. And Dylan's been playing pretty well lately. And Detroit, I know they had a brief window where they were looking really good. Overall, their talent-wise, they're not a good defense. IBX the prodigy, Jalen Hurts or Jared Goff. So I talked earlier, we have Jared Goff on the road. Has just not been a very good. He had a garbage time a couple of weeks ago, and it really panned out for him for fantasy. I don't think the Packers run out to this huge lead. They haven't been that team this year. So I think it stays a little closer to the vest. I do think that that Goff does not have a big ceiling here. Look, Jalen Hurts, they have to win. They have to win. They need that 1 seed. They need the bye. They need the home field advantage. Even if he plays a half, that probably means they got 28 points on the board. And if they do, Hurts probably went off already. And the Giants, they're down people at corner. They've been terrible against the pass. We already know that Leonard Williams is out there talking about sitting other key starters. I think Jalen Hurts has to have a floor that's well higher than Goff's and a ceiling that's well higher. But if you are totally risk averse and you're worried, I think they have to play Hurts because they have to win. So for that reason, I lean Hurts. But if your gut says Goff, he hasn't been great on the road. Chris, Juwan Johnson or Albert O. And again, this gets difficult because we've got what are the Chargers going to do? If the Chargers play their defensive starters, man, the whole Denver offense is screwed. Bosa's back. That makes Mack a secondary guy. Derwin James is healthy. And Albert O is in trouble because the Chargers have been very good against tight ends, and that would not be good. Russell Wilson, the first time they played in Week 6, this is off the cuff. It's very close. Numbers might not be exact. I think he had 170 yards in the first half. In the second half, in overtime, he had less than 20. They just made the adjustment and they clamped down on him. They just put pressure up the middle, and Wilson was done. And that was without Joey Bosa. So, but if they pull their starters, it's another ballgame. Juwan Johnson has been money. The 2 games he didn't produce in the last 7. San Francisco, Fred Warner, we knew there was no chance. And then the other one was the game that was sub-zero wind chills with high winds in Cleveland. So those are 2 games that he didn't play well. So Juwan Johnson, otherwise, is 40 yards, usually a touchdown. I go Juwan Johnson. He's been playing at a very high level. IBX the Prodigy, Hurts or Goff. And I think I just answered that. Was it for somebody else? No, for you. Okay. TLNFF. Full PPR. Start 3 from Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Christian Watson, Deebo Samuel. Concern on Jefferson's playtime. Yes, understandable. They have to win. We talked about this a little earlier in the show that they have to win. If they can get that 2 seed, they need to be at home. They internally know what they are as a team. But the Bears are playing a lot of subs. The Bears are down 3 corners. The Bears have been down their free safety for over a month. They have no pass rush. If Jefferson plays a half a game, he literally could have 25 fantasy points. That's how bad the Bears defense is right now. And so I would be inclined to trust Jefferson. He may not play the whole game, but he shouldn't have to. Tyreek Hill, it's tough because Skylar Thompson, quarterback, no Teron Armstead. He's doubtful at left tackle. Very problematic. If the Jets show up and play, makes it a problem because Skylar Thompson's going to be under pressure. Now, can Hill catch a screen pass and go 80 yards? Yes, you always have that. So we got to look at that. Christian Watson, well, we've seen the touchdown regression already hit. He's been about 50 yards a game, maybe the last 4-ish games. So that's kind of come back. Teams are kind of understanding what he is at this point, but it's not a bad matchup. Now, Dubs is involved. Lazard's involved. They might get success running the ball. I think Watson might be safer than Deebo because I don't know how many touches Deebo's getting here. My guess is it's a tune-up. Arizona's like missing everybody. So he could have a big play. So Watson is the higher floor. So I'm going to start Jefferson. I'm going to start Hill. I'm going to use, if I want a floor play, I want a solid 10 PPR points, I'm going to go with Watson. If I need 18, I don't think Watson's getting that. They're spreading the ball too much right now. I think that against a depleted defense, Deebo could make a big play or 2 on limited touches, but he's volatile. He has a really low floor because they might not use him much. So I would base my third decision on, do you want the floor safe or do you want that boom bust where you need some real pop? If you need real pop, then I would think in this one, that would be the way to go. IBX the Prodigy, Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton, Deontay Johnson, Chris Godwin. So Todd Bowles is emphatically saying they're playing. And I get it. Tampa Bay has a lot to work on. Last week, they know that didn't solve their problems. Last week, Carolina basically, they were down 2 corners. They had backup corners and they were playing press man. And basically, press Mike Evans with a backup? Seriously? And so it was 3 go routes. Basically, it's Mike Evans running past guys, Brady throwing it up. There was like no resistance. And then Godwin in the middle, same thing. You press Chris Godwin? Seriously? Chris Godwin is going to beat you off that every time. So it was like the optimal of optimal situations. So in this game, the Bucs need to work on something. That game did not teach them anything for the playoffs. So they're going to have to play. Now, you're right in questioning it. How much they play? They're locked in a playoff seating. Somebody takes a big hit. All right, we've had enough. They might peace out, right? Now, Cortland Sutton. Again, if the Chargers don't rest players, he's screwed. Because you don't pass on the Chargers. Chargers, the last 4 weeks, they have fixed everything defensively. And Bosa's back. Derwin James is back. So even if the Chargers played for half, Russell Wilson's been terrible. So if he plays for a half and they shut him out, what's there going to be in the second half? And is there a guarantee Denver even plays their starters the whole way in a game that doesn't mean anything, right? So basically, and Keenan Allen, same question, right? So yes, so you totally have questions here. Deontay Johnson will have a floor. They're playing to win. I almost would say Johnson doesn't have a ceiling, but he has a good floor. He should catch 5 or 6 passes. He should get 40 to 60 yards. That is one thing you can bank on here. I would lean toward him. I would be more inclined to lean with Godwin because if he plays for a half, we know Brady's going to lean on him. If they're working on the passing game, they're going to work to get him the ball. I think those would be your best options. That's the way I would look for that. Cortland Sutton to me is almost too risky because I don't even know if there's upside there, even against subs. IBX, the prodigy. What do you got here? Godwin. Did I answer this already? And yeah, so I mean, I cannot dispute you with that. I mean, I already kind of went with you on Deontay, and I can't dismiss Sutton. Again, I would tend to go Godwin, but I'm not going to talk you out of Sutton because if the Chargers rest people very quickly, then something could happen there. Again, don't be certain that teams that are out of it don't pull people either. That is in the realm too. We don't talk about that much. We talk about teams resting if they're for the playoffs, but there are some teams that are checked out for the season. And if there's anything nagging, they might just pull them. So there's that too. Chris, leaning Seahawks defense. Would I prefer the Bengals defense? Well, the Bengals are going to announce their starter during warm-ups, and it sounds like it's probably going to be Anthony Brown. No J.K. Dobbins. Isaac, thanks, man. So the Seahawks have a lot to play for here, right? And I think there's a lot to be said for that. So when we look at the Seahawks, let me look at the one thing I want to check quickly here. They're playing the Rams. I mean, it's Baker Mayfield, right? And the season's over. He has something to play for. Sean McVay's already talking about getting out of Dodge. I think I would almost see. I'm trying to think if the Bengals are going to. If the Bengals are going to play this one out, or if they're just kind of convinced that they're set in 3 seed, they could play some subs against Baltimore subs and still win. I think the Seahawks have a lot more to play for. And I think that's the narrative I'm going to go with. They can come up defensively in this game. I think they could catch the Rams checking out a little bit. It's really gut feel. My gut would say the Seahawks. Kenneth, McLaurin or the Miami versus Miami? You know what? I'm going to go with the Miami receivers, and here's why. At least we know if you get the ball in their hands quickly, it's very possible they could create big plays from Skylar Thompson. No Teron Armstead at tackle. Very possible. We know the outside corners are very good for the Jets, but I don't think they're stylistic matchups with Waddle and Hill. Those are super speed receivers. Sauce Gardner can do everything, but he's really best against probably the perimeter, bigger alpha receivers. You're not hanging with the speed of Waddle and Hill. You get the ball in their hands quickly. And DJ Reed, he's very good, but this is kind of outside of his skill set. And I am concerned that McLaurin has Sam Howell. I don't know what to expect. With their bad quarterback play, they never considered him. I'm going to lean the Miami receivers in a game they have to win. And you have to think Mike McDaniel has prepared his game plan to get the ball in their hands. And that could be on the run plays. I think it's a lot of quick hitting stuff. That's my thought. Chris, Geno, Purdy, Baker, Deshaun. Yeah, Geno. The must win means a lot here. The Rams without Aaron Donald, Ashawn Robinson's been out like a month. That really hurts any pass rush they have. And the Seahawks line has been tumbling a bit, but they're more than capable of handling this particular matchup. And look, there's one Jalen Ramsey, and the other corners have not been playing great. So whatever Ramsey does, they could throw away from him and be successful. The Rams will be good enough against the run where they'll need to throw some. So I will say Geno because they have to win. Isaac, thank you. Again, I appreciate that. And yes, it is a Rubik's Cube, and we're doing our best, Isaac, to navigate that. I know not easy, but fun, but fun. But we'll have some fun with this. IBX, you have higher hopes for Sutton because you feel Denver will play to win to give Seattle a worse pick. You may be right. You may be right. But sometimes these guys, they know the season's over. It's the holidays. It's a lot of narrative, but there's not a lot of motivation to play when you don't want to get hurt. You know what? An NFL player, when you're out of it, you don't want to get hurt. You don't want to go into that off season with an injury to deal with. So I really think a lot of these teams that are losing sometimes, it's not like they're playing spoiler on the Chargers. There's no stunt to spoil. And that fate's probably going to be sealed when Baltimore plays their subs, right? So, but I can't argue with your rationale. It makes sense. I get it. Do not argue with you at all. And there's nothing wrong with putting Corazon's a good player. And if the Chargers have subs in, he could get something done. Otherwise, they do very nice job at bracketing over the top, and those big plays typically don't happen. I did a thread with that the other day, and the Chargers. So if you go to @JimCoventry NFL, my Twitter, follow me there. If you see the thread from the prop, you see the Russell Wilson ones. I'm still waiting for it to get posted. But in there, I explain what the Chargers' pass defense has been like. But if they sit everybody, there you have it. But if they play them for a half, it could be a 0 at the half. TLNFF, Zach Moss, Jeff Wilson, or Jonathan Williams. I like Zach Moss this week. I advocate him at like 5,200 on DraftKings as a play this week. So we know Houston's terrible against the run. We also know that when they face an opponent that they want to stop the run against, they can load up. I don't think they're going to go in and say, you know what, Zach Moss, we have to stop Zach Moss. I don't think for a minute in their game planning, and it's week 18 too, I don't think that's their philosophy. I think they're going to play this straight up. I think they're not worried about Zach Moss, but Zach Moss has been good. Not great, but good. There's red zone touchdown opportunity here. He's been very solid on the ground. The Colts' run blocking is middling. Their pass blocking has been the real issue. So I do like Zach Moss a good deal. Jeff Wilson, again, it's a rough run defense. Teron Armstead, the left tackle, is doubtful. They're not expected to play. Jonathan Williams, again, Dallas could stack the box to make Sam Howell beat them through the air, which I think Zach Moss has the best path and the best matchup. So I like that. Keith, Purdy or Goff? Purdy has a safer floor. They need to win. They want that 2 seed. Minnesota probably doesn't lose to the Bears, who are sitting people. And so they would need to win. In Arizona, they're down everybody. 3 top corners are down. Their free safety's down. Zaven Collins is down. 2 defensive linemen are down. And I don't think they want to overwork Christian McCaffrey here. So I do think it's a very good floor spot for Purdy. Goff, we mentioned earlier, on the road, he had garbage time a couple weeks ago, and he came through. But he has not been very good on the road. And it's going to be a very cold night game. His history in cold weather games has been a little bit sketchy there as well. I think that we're going to go with Purdy for the safe floor. Now, if you need extreme upside, I don't think Purdy has that. And I think there's volatility that game goes off the rails with Green Bay, where it was a crazy shootout. I think then Goff has that floor ceiling thing where he might get you a 14, but he might also get you a 30. So I think you might want to look that way, but otherwise Purdy's your safe play, I think. Chris, you're very welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. TLNFF, Cole Kmet, Hunter Henry, or Trey McBride. So, yeah, Kmet will worry me because what Kmet was feeding on was when Justin Fields would get mobile, linebackers would bite down, and Kmet would often run his routes behind those linebackers in the vacated area, and he was making some hay in that. And that happened at that touchdown run. He had those 5 in 3 games or whatever it was. But now with Nathan Peterman, good God. And Nathan Peterman, I mean, I don't think he's going to lock on Kmet. Zadarius Smith is out. They're not playing him. The Vikings are going to be down some people on defense. I don't know. I think Peterman might dump to the running backs. He might throw receiver screens. I don't think it's a Kmet centered offense. Now, Hunter Henry does not have a good matchup. The Bills have been very good against tight ends. Jonnu Smith's out, so he should get some targets. McBride, the deal with him is he's been good in 2 of the last 3 games. He got a 55 and a 73-yard, I think it was, game, and a touchdown. But now the 49ers play starters. He's screwed. Because, first of all, if they play starters, I think McBride is the block because that offensive line has been decimated and they weren't good to start. And now if you see Nick Bosa and the boys over there, I think you need your tight end to block. So I would say of the 3, I think Henry has a fair enough floor. Bad matchup, but I think he gets 4 to 5 targets. And I think that gives him the floor. And to me, this is about a floor play in this one. It's not about a ceiling play because I don't know that name have ceiling. Now, if the 49ers sat all their starters, it's another ball game. But you got to make the decision early because 2 of these games are in the early window. So I would say Henry right now, despite the bad matchup. And, the safety play, Jordan Poyer isn't playing at an elite level right now. I know Matt Milano is. But I think Henry is used diversely where he won't be on Milano all the time. Sometimes it'll be the safeties. And I think that's where he makes his few catches. To me, the floor play is Henry. If you believe that San Francisco is going to sit starters, then go McBride. I don't think they will. I think they'll play starters for at least a half. Mello, you got the Saints or the Texans defense? Yeah. So Paulson Adebo's out, one of their corners. That shouldn't be a massive deal. I think DJ Moore matches up well with Lattimore. Lattimore takes on the bigger alpha sizes, and whereas DJ Moore can kind of get by him. Pass rush is inconsistent. Bottom 10 pass rush. The line has been very good for the Panthers. I don't think the Saints have a big game defensively here. The Texans, they come out to play. They definitely come out to play. And they're facing Sam Ehlinger. And I think there's mistakes that could happen there. Now, I know Sam Bradford's. I said Sam Bradford. Oh, Sam Darnold is on the other side of that one with the Saints. I'm going to go with the Texans. I really think the Colts are probably going to be checked out here. And I think the Texans are going to play. I think they always are going to play. So I'm going to go with that. Chris, Elijah Mitchell. That's a tough one because he's been hurt twice this year. They need him for the playoffs. He's a really good change of pace for Christian McCaffrey. My guess is they simply want to get him a few carries, 3 to 5 carries. Now, could that be enough? Maybe. That could be 30 yards, right? The way he's been running, right? But I wouldn't play him over Olave. Look, I cannot see a world where they give Elijah Mitchell 10 to 12 carries. I could be wrong, but coming off of 2 injuries, knowing that, I don't think they can do that to him. So I think ultimately Olave's in a great spot. I don't see the Saints sitting people here, and I think Olave's a pretty solid play. Looks like that's all we have for today. All right, everybody, good luck in your week 18. I will be doing streams throughout the week. So if you're not following at Jim Coventry NFL on Twitter, please do. If you are on YouTube, please smash the like and subscribe button. If you want 2 free days at the RotoWire website to see all we got to offer, rotowire.com/try, no credit card needed. I will do streams on this channel that you're on. Monday, we'll do the takeaways from today's games. Later in the week, and the days I believe are Tuesday. I think I'm going to do Wednesday and Thursday, actually. So I usually do Tuesday. I'm going to do Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday and Thursday, I'm going to break down the AFC playoff games one day, the NFC the other. I'll be on Sirius XM next weekend, Saturday 1 to 3, channel 87. Mario Puig and I will break down all of the playoff games there, if you like us there. And we will not have a Sunday show next week. All right. Thank you for hanging out with me. Good luck, and we will talk soon.